Hey, God bless you, my friend and sister Sharon. And today we are discussing the changing of guard. Friends, or shall I say the changing of guards, plural. Why is this important for us to understand as a spiritual compass for where we are in our walk with God? At all times, friends, because we are in a flesh body suit, we have to strive to be more perceptive in the spirit man, being able to discern. The people of the world would call it intuitiveness, but for us, we know it's called discernment, being able to look at a situation, listen to an individual, and discern from our inner man what God is saying, and keeping in consideration our own personal biases. Because at the end of the day, friends, eternity is forever. And if you sit under or continue to listen to people who have not had a changing of guard of the spirit man, where the spirit is in charge of that individual to the point where that person, regardless if you like them or not, is pointing you to Jesus Christ, pointing you and provoking you to live clean, pure, and holy before God. And we know, friends, and I've talked about it quite a bit here on my channel. You could put in the search from my channel, Once Saved, Always Saved is one of the most damnable teachings that anyone could be a partaker, because God gave his best. He gave his only begotten son. And there are masses of people who claim that they know him, but they continue to live in sin against God. They have no conviction because they think that because they made a confession that they are saved, but there is no fruit in their lives. There's no fruit of righteousness. And this is where, my friends, we can never forget the fact only 8 people entered Noah's Ark. The reason we have to keep looking at this fact, friends, is because the thing that we cannot control, that we all have an appointment with, and that is death. It doesn't matter what we think about it, if we want to think about it. The reality is every person is going to die. We are going to die or be raptured out. More than likely, many of us will die and go into the earth, the bodysuit. But your soul will stand at attention and give an account to the living God the moment you and I draw our last breath. In the meantime, we have to discern if a person, whether it's a preacher, a friend, family member, we have to discern, has there been a changing of guard in that individual's life? Have this person crossed over from darkness to light? Are they spirit-filled? Are they truly walking with the Christ? Friends, I'm going to give you 12 things that we want to look for, most notably in a so-called Christian fellowship, because as we know, everything that glitters certainly is not gold. And if you don't take for what you see for what it is, you can be desensitized. And this could be the very reason many people are lackluster in your walk with God, because you are compromising sitting in the midst of the old guard. The old guard has been fired. The flesh man is out, friend. It is the spiritual man. We want to be spiritual. And when we are minding things that are of the spirit, and we are connected to the fact eternity is our destiny. And we are not enamored with the things of this world, the stroking of the ego through materialism, houses, cars, land, treasure, pleasure. No, when you have walked in the midst of someone, if not yourself, friend, you got to thyself be true. You have to know that you have had a changing of guard, where your flesh is no longer your master, but it is the spirit, that you strive to walk in the spirit daily. We all must be very real with ourselves, friends, because you cannot have victory walking with God if you just throw the covers over your head and don't want to confront the real you. Because without confronting, there is no conversion. There is no conquering of the flesh man until you confront it with the facts. If you struggle with lust, say it. Call that thing out in you. I am lustful. I'm a liar. I'm a jealous hearted person. Whatever you are, until you call it what it is, friend, it will continue to invade and destroy you from the inside out. Number one thing that you want to look for, if that person, no matter who it is, friends, because the scriptures tell us we must guard our hearts. We don't just take to people like Velcro. We got to sit back and examine. Amen. Number one thing, most notably in a so-called Christian fellowship, is everything is supernatural. There is such an exalting of euphoria and emotionalism. It is, friends, something you must pay attention to, because the emotional part of us can deceive you. It can cause you to think that God is in the midst, quote, of you, because you feel some kind of way. Be careful where emotionalism is exalted. Number two, most notably, how? Through music. Music has become a staple in false churches that are nothing more than cults, where number three, the leaders are worshiped as kings and their wives as queens. Wherever you see the exalting of a leader, that is the old guard dominating. That's the flesh man. That is the pride of life, the lust of the flesh and the pride of life that is being exalted through the leader. You should do well to get your hat and coat and get out of there, friends, because they will desensitize you. They will move you away from becoming spiritual, because it's all about the natural man being worshiped. Number five, wherever there is a dominance of dogma about being covered by another human being, the covering doctrine, I've already made videos about it. It is from the old guard. The old guard will trap you to worshiping them and making you feel that you need a mortal to walk with God. But the scriptures tell us something different. Enoch and Noah did what? Walked with God. Moses was walking with God. He heard God. He had an experience through that burning bush. Come on, friends. You got to know that this thing is one man for himself. One man, you, you and I. Every man for himself. You can walk with God. You can have a relationship minus all of the fluff that the old guard will throw in your way. You got to be strong and tenacious, my friend, to bypass that old guard's dogma. Number six is sexuality and homosexuality is blatant in the midst of an old guard fellowship. You can see the feminine spirit where that person, usually you'll see the men wearing makeup, certain strange attire. I'm talking about where you be looking at them saying, they got flowers. You would think women, we love flowers. The man got flowers all over his clothes. He got on makeup. I mean, come on, friends. And he is the worship leader in these synagogues of Satan, because what they're doing is stroking the outer man through entertainment. So you will see the homosexual spirit there. You will see it as blatant. You will see the overexpression of sexuality, of provocatively dressed women. Y'all know what I'm talking about, because it's everywhere. The breasts, hips, and thighs done took over America. It's everywhere. And why won't that pastor deal with it? Because he or she is a wolf, friends. They are from the old guard. The flesh man dominates them. This is why it doesn't bother them, because they're all about selfish ambition, getting paid and getting that money. So they're not going to disturb the wolves and the Delilah and Jezebel. They ain't got nothing to say to them. Why? Because that's not what their focus is. It's not eternity. It is right now getting paid. So go ahead, Delilah and Jezebel. Have a good time in this fellowship. Just bring us the money. Number seven, entertainment is a staple in these old guard fellowships, friends. This is what it is. All these plays, they're having all types of concerts, a little bit of this, that, and that goes on in the so-called house of worship. Friends, that's the old guard, and you will do well to come out from among them and be separated, because the spiritual man understands you cannot walk, friends, in that wide road and expect to make it to heaven. This thing is tight. It is tight, friends. He said, he warned us to strive to enter into that straight and that narrow path. And when your flesh is constantly being entertained, you're really being detained, friends, from being spiritual. See, we want to be spiritual, and we want to dominate and rule over this flesh man. We don't want it stroke. That's why some people are trapped, because you don't realize where you're fellowshipping, you are partaking from the old guard. You are being desensitized, my friend. Number 8 is religious emotional idolaters. There are many people who believe because they are emotional towards, quote, God, that God is with them. But when you look at their lives, anything that is holy and should be set apart, they glorify in the other part of it. Whatever is, as we're saying, entertaining, they go for it. If you look, number 9, they hate correction. This goes with number 8. They, in their mind, make up this thing in their head. God is with them, but they take no correction. And these are usually the old guards that's threatening their followers that you do not touch God's anointed. In other words, the only people that's anointed in the fellowship is them, and you better not put your mouth on them, or God's going to kill you or curse you. Something's bad going to happen to you. That's witchcraft, friends. If you and somebody, if somebody, you want to say something. But to try to threaten someone that God's going to get you for talking about them, we are called to be fruit inspectors, friends. We are called to inspect. Jesus told us, he said, we will know a tree by the fruit that it bear. And how can we know a tree by its fruit unless we're looking at it and we're inspecting it? But the old guard that is dominated by the flesh man, they will intimidate you. So, because why? They can't take no correction, because they're the star of the show, and you don't mess with the star of the show. Number 10, they always exalt the material world. Success and recognition is what they wave at you, that usually puts people in the mind that this person is worthy to be praised. This is most notable with anybody calling themselves a doctor of divinity. This is what now we are seeing Christians calling other followers, brethren, doctors, just like in the world. Friends, you're deceived if you are following the likes of anyone who claims that they're doctor this and they're doctor that. No, beloved, that's the old guard. Remember, Paul considered all that he had accomplished as dung. It was worthless. Please study Galatians, study the writings of Paul. He denounced his pedigree. He denounced all of it that he might win Christ. And so when you have a leader that's basking in being called Dr. So-and-so, friends, they're deceived, and they will say, well, why these people picking on us because we got education? No, Jesus, we become like our master. We don't make no boast. We don't have no reputation. We make ourselves of no reputation. We just do the work. Number 11, that flirty spirit will be upon the old guard. Any man or woman, you can discern when that spirit of lust and flirtatiousness is with that individual. Get away from them. Don't play with it, friends. Don't play with it. Devise a plan for escape, to get away from the snakes, because that's what they are. And some are very covert about that flirtatiousness. And oftentimes it ain't what they say, it's what they display. That's why many of you women that continue to watch this channel, you bypass this alarm that God's been speaking since I got on YouTube. Put some clothes on your bodysuit, because it is a clear indicator that you are off the mark, friends, when you cannot walk out basic instructions Modest apparel has always been God's order. So when you see a person who overtly, you can see that backside, you see them hips, you see they buttocks, you see they front side, you see that cleavage, brother, you know right there she is from the old guard, and you shouldn't entertain her because she is setting a trap. That's why she got the booty out, brother, so she could trap you. And sisters, I serve you notice once again. Jesus said that you will know the tree by its fruit. Many of you talk a big gang, but all you got to do is go up into that closet and you go see really what your confession is really about, because you still pretending and you're still playing. Old guard, old guard. Number 12, look for prayer. Where is prayer in the midst of a fellowship? Because most people don't pray, and if they do pray, it's just a little something, something. But prayer is not a staple in that ministry. You might hear an opening prayer where they take the microphone and they go on and on and on and on and on and on and on, and it sounds really, like wow. And then you're sitting back like, wow. Friends, you must discern the old guard keepers, because they will lull you to sleep. They will push you out into that wide road. Make it plain today for all of us. The spiritual man is not afraid of rebuke. The spiritual man is not afraid to maneuver and walk with Jesus. See, when you are still carnal and you're dominated by the flesh man, the old guard, you are needy. And this is what makes many people vulnerable. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. There is a tenacity when you and I understand we are in charge of our destination, whether it will be heaven or hell. But the journey, we must be warned to remain sober and vigilant, because we are in a very dark hour, my friends, and you got to be serious about Jesus. You got to be serious. And if that means walking alone for a season, so be it. But we do not rub elbows with the old guard. Bad company destroys good morals and good values. God bless you, my friend. He or she that has the ear to hear, let us hear today. God bless you, my friend. Till next time.